Alright, YouTube, Shadow King Nazru, and I'm gonna be doing a response video. It's been a while since I've done one of those. Anyway, this is a response video to Bandit Incorporated's why Godzilla should lose in Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, I normally don't talk about Bandit Incorporated because, well, I haven't liked his content since, I want to say, between 2012 and 2014, so it's been about 5 to 7 years since I actually liked anything he's done. But while searching up for Godzilla vs. Kong to see if there was any news, I caught the video, and I watched it, and there's quite a bit things wrong. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, one of the reasons why he thinks Kong could win against Godzilla is because he thinks that despite Kong being shorter than Godzilla, he thinks that's going to be immaterial. Now, that's kind of true, especially with Godzilla and Kong going to be in more equal height, with Kong getting a height upgrade in the next movie. The comparison he was using the Kong Skull Island Kong, or at least that's how his video portrayed it. And he tried to compare it to Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and saying that, trying to imply that size doesn't matter. Now, the problem with that is that Godzilla in King of the Monsters is 393 feet tall. Let's highball it to like 400. And King Ghidorah is 521 feet. So about a little over 500. So that's a little over 100 feet difference. When you're comparing it to kaiju, that's not a big deal. Now, Kong was, when we saw him on Skull Island, was 100 feet tall. Godzilla is almost 400 feet tall. That is a 4 times different. That is not even the same comparison you can make between Godzilla and King Ghidorah. It's honestly gonna look. Obviously, if Kong was still 100 feet tall when he fought Godzilla, it would be such a mismatch. It's not. Nobody's gonna take the fight seriously. I mean, you'd be lucky if Godzilla actually even noticed Kong if he were that small. I mean, it just wouldn't work. Another thing he said was that he thinks that Kong should win because he's younger than Godzilla and his prime. First off, you're comparing it to like human years or relative mammal years. While Kong is like a few decades old, we don't know how long his lifespan of his species is. Same with Godzilla. Yes, we know Godzilla could be. I mean, Godzilla is millions of years old, but his species might live millions of years. So, for all we know, Godzilla could still be in his prime and not old. And for all we know, that Kong could be old, as he might not have his species maybe only live for a few decades, just like humans. It's all about relativity. And even if Godzilla was quote-unquote old, that still makes him more experienced than Kong. He's been going out in the world and fighting other kaiju, somewhat interacting with humans. He has more experience than Kong does. Kong has been spending practically all his life on Skull Island. And another thing he says is that Godzilla was overweight, but that's not true because Godzilla's mostly muscle and armor-plating skin. If you want to see like a fat Godzilla, look at Shin Godzilla. God, with those thunder thighs. But that's a lesson material. Another thing he said was that Kong should beat Godzilla because Kong would be the humanity's champion. and that he views humanity more as pets, whereas Godzilla sees them as irrelevant insects. There's a problem with that. It's a very flimsy argument. Now, I will agree Kong probably has more care for humans than Godzilla does. I mean, neither is cares about humans as much as you might think to Bandit Incorporated. Kong only cares about the humans on Skull Island, I mean, because they live on Skull Island. That's his domain. He protects all the his, well, so to say, subjects. He's a good, as the movie said, he's a good king, and he's protecting his subjects, which would be like herbivores, animals that are no threat to his rule, and humans. And he fights other monsters that try to threaten his any creatures he considers an ally, like be it other kaiju or well, titans, as they call them in the MonsterVerse, or humans. And his main enemies are the Skullcrawlers, but he's never goes out of Skull Island, which is why this was more expanded in the Godzilla King of the Monsters novel, when King Ghidorah did his roar to proclaim himself as the Alpha and to help have all the other titans, destroy all of human civilization so he could remake the Earth into more of an environment to his liking. Kong heard the roar, but he ignored it because he had no interest in leaving Skull Island. But it also woke up the Skullcrawlers, and he was busy fighting to keep them underground so they didn't rise up to Skull Island and cause havoc. You see where I'm going with this? He does not care about what goes on in the outside world, only what goes on Skull Island. That, I mean, as far as he's concerned, the world can just deal with itself. Godzilla, on the other hand, while you could say he's at least tolerates humanity, he at least goes more the extra mile to protect them than Kong does. Because they're part of the natural order, which Godzilla protects. He protects the world order and keeps everything in balance. Which is why he fought the MUTOs and he fought King Ghidorah, because they were threats to his domain. They were threats to his rule and threats to the natural order. The MUTOs because they were parasitic creatures and they get possibly overpopulated and cause havoc upon the world. And King Ghidorah was an alien dragon who could cause severe storms and cause complete chaos. That is what Godzilla is all about, protecting the balance. And while he doesn't go out of his way to protect humanity, they still benefit from him keeping the natural order. And he's going around the world making sure everything stays the way it should be. That makes him more of a protector for humanity than Kong would, because Kong is solely focused on Skull Island and he's not going out of his way to do it. If he was this humanity's protector, he would be going to find King Ghidorah after he dealt with presumably, let's just say he dealt with the Skullcrawlers in time to go through the Hollow Earth and fight King Ghidorah. He would have gone to fight King Ghidorah and make sure he didn't become a threat to the planet. But he didn't. Because aside from fighting the Skullcrawlers, he was more focused on protecting Skull Island and just ruling Skull Island. Anything past Skull Island is not his concern. And honestly, there's some other things that you got wrong, but those pretty much were my main issues. Honestly, I'd say it was a poorly researched problem. On another thing is that you said that, I thought I'd figure of another problem. Another thing you researched that said that Kong has more of a connection with humanity and Godzilla's kind of disconnected. That's not exactly true. Godzilla, while he doesn't have much of an emotional attachment to humanity, say like we do, or maybe like Kong does, because we're both primates. Godzilla does has interacted with humanity in the past. As you can saw in Godzilla King of the Monsters, there was an ancient city that he lived in that was built around him and was worshiping him. As the King of the Monsters established, that there were these various civilizations across Earth that worshipped the Titans like they were gods, and they were coexisting. And Dr. Sarah says we could probably do it again. So Godzilla is no stranger to interacting with humanity. As long as they don't threaten the natural balance, he has no problem with them, and will defend them to a varying degree. But all in all, I think this was a very poorly researched video. He got facts wrong, did not take context into things, and honestly, saying that Godzilla should lose because that would be a more eventful story. It could still be an eventful story if Godzilla wins. I mean, and I disagree that it would be a bummer if they teamed up. I actually prefer if they teamed up, because both fans could have the loss of their favorite character cushion by them fighting against another monster and having either Godzilla or Kong look good, and then them making peace with each other, and they could team up again later. And we've seen movies that were called versus movies, but still have them team up and still be good. Look at Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was a good movie. So, like I said, I don't think this was a very well-researched video. Poorly founded. Honestly, I could say you're a bit biased for the whole Kong thing. I mean that's what it came across when I watched the video. I mean, I want Godzilla to win, but I wouldn't let my bias keep me away from the fact. I mean, but yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say about Bandit Incorporated's video. Not a good video. Well, I think that was a pretty good response. You guys let me know what you think about this whole Godzilla vs. Kong thing, and I'll catch you guys later.